Well, here we are in the desert in Joshua Tree. This is Manny's Mic Locker. I'm with my good friend Dave, who is sexier than you can imagine in person. Please tell us where we are and what's going on here.
We're at Rancho de la Luna Recording Studio in Joshua Tree, California. This is our 30th anniversary, and Manny was cool enough to come out here and check out some of the mics in the locker.
Happy 30th.
Happy.
That's what I'm talking
30th.
about. Dave, someone that's, I know he's here, but he's definitely legendary in the world of, if you've lived in LA and you're a musician, the first thing I heard about him was his guitar playing. Then maybe well over 20 years ago, I'd have friends that would tell me about this place in the desert that they would record at that had like gear that was just to die for. And, you know, there'll be another episode with a tour of the studio. But in this one, we're going to focus on his mics. But you can say I'm surrounded by some of the coolest guitars, coolest amps, coolest vibe. If you've never been to a desert oasis like this, make a trek out here. And also, this studio is available for if you wanted to ever book it. It's, even though Queens of the Stone Age, Caius, name me some of the bands that the desert sessions were done here. And what other bands have come in here recently or in the last few years?
Iggy Pop, Afghan Wigs have recorded here, Mark Lanigan.
Yeah, God rest his soul, man.
Yeah,
what a guy. You know, these people that have come here, and they come here for a reason, and they come back for a reason. I think Arctic Monkeys have been here.
Oh, yeah.
Some of my favorite musicians in LA, I'll see them on, you know, some kind of Instagram or a photo of them tracking here. So it's a studio that's used every day, and they're not precious. I mean, everything is here to play and use. And so we're going to go over his microphones that he really loves. I'm excited to hear how Dave uses the microphones out here and actually what kind of mics we have.
All right.
Here is his mic locker. And I will say that is a very, very beautiful mic locker. I don't even know where to start.
I don't have anything like super rare or totally expensive, but I have stuff like the Velveeta mic, which is...
what the heck is that?
It's more of a... sound toy thing, you know. Check. So you can put that in.
Go ahead and talk into that.
Check line 2, and it's the monster.
I love this.
There's a couple of other. You can put that on the snare. Sure. Everybody needs this, the Beta, but we got the.
This is a real gem.
That's the AKG Fender mic that they made, what, in the 70s?
Yeah, these are actually branded under Grundig as well. So they have a Grundig and they have a Fender. And I want to say they have an AKG. It's the same exact mic. And tell me what makes this mic special.
Well, it's got a built-in spring reverb. And my friend Alan Johannes turned me on to these. He had a few of these, and they used to be really cheap, and they're getting a little more expensive. They're temperamental at best. Like you have to kind of move the batteries around to make sure they're working. But if you can find one of these cheap, they have a really interesting sound.
He's actually got one. You can't see it, but it's permanently in the middle of the drum room right here.
Yeah, it floats around depending on where. And we had, for one of the desert sessions, PJ Harvey used it for vocals, and she kind of rode the reverb on because you ride the reverb on there. And that turned out great. It was a one-take pass.
A magic moment.
This is the Magic Manny mic. I watched his Show Us Your Junk, and he was talking about these, so I immediately went out and bought a couple of those.
Those are realistic, called 1070s. They're like Radio Shack mics, like $29 on eBay.
And funny enough, they were $39.95 brand new.
So a little bit of a discount.
Yeah, you got a little discount on them.
How much did you get yours for?
That one I think was 70. So it's gone up a little bit because I think you said 29.
Yeah.
But when I saw them for 70, I think I got the dented one for 60 and that one for 70.
Well, it was funny because when I first contacted Dave, even though I've known him for years, I was lucky enough to him to have watched the episode a few weeks before we chatted. So when I'm talking to him, he's like, I just literally got that mic that I mentioned. So it was flattering, but also it's a camaraderie of being studios. You get cool, weird mics. This guy, we're just getting started, right?
Yeah.
So what else we got, man?
Well, you know, I take what you say, you know, I love what you do. So this is a Sennheiser. For years, we thought we used it for a talkback mic because it's got a switch on it. We didn't realize how amazing it was. It turns out this was Dave Grohl's Them Crooked Vultures vocal mic.
What is the model of that? Does it say?
You know, it doesn't say on here. And I think it was usually his are black, but this one was tinted silver. That's one. We got the 666, which comes in handy. Josh Homme loved these for a while. These were on a lot of Queens of the Stone Age things. And
now, what would he use those for? Vocals or instruments?
There's photos of Elvis singing through these, and then Josh liked them for guitars for a while, sometimes on bass. They're pretty cool. That one gets used a little bit here and there. This is a Electro Voice 635A. I've seen Robin Zander singing through these on Cheap Trick, so I bought that. But
what is the model again on that?
635A.
All right, on the list. On the list to do.
Yeah, that's what I saw. But now I've seen them on overheads. But I saw Robin Zander using one, so that's why and I saw another picture of Robin Zander using the PL95 Electro Voice.
This is like live at Cheap Trick stuff.
Yeah, so I picked up that.
Beautiful. I mean, look at it. It's just like, looks like it's been through a war.
I know. It probably has. It might have even been used by Robin Zander.
I love that.
This was one of our first decent mics. When we recorded Caius, they wanted a 414, so they bought us one for the studio.
Look at that.
And we traded that for studio time. So that's been here
this
for...
This is the Caius mic, basically.
95, I think is...
Now, what did you use that for Caius? Was that just everything utility?
They were using it for vocals for John.
Okay.
Which is always great.
I saw you have the Rupert Neve up there. The Neve ribbon.
Yeah, that's a great one. It's kind of fell one day and got dented, unfortunately.
Does it work?
It works great. I mean, it didn't hurt the microphone. Yeah. It just kind of dented it. So that was kind of a bummer. I really love the SE Voodoos. Little ribbon guys are cool.
Really nice.
The new MAD Mojave is a really great live and vocal mic for a handheld. I really love that.
Now, you mentioned you had some prototypes from Mojave or Royer. Are any of those in here? Or are they outside?
This is the Dave Royer's first attempt at a tube microphone. It's my favorite mic that I own. Actually, it sounds amazing. That's the power supply. It's in a little...
it's a gun box.
Yeah, a little ammo box there. I had the original ribbon, the 121.
Yeah.
And it was dented because he was trying to see the toughness of it, and he would use it as a hammer and throw it across the room just to make sure that it would take a licking and keep on ticking. But he was visiting a couple of years ago and spotted that it was the prototype.
So he took it, right?
He took it back. But this one, I'm sorry, Dave, you can never have this one. This is the sound of the studio.
That one is speaking about prototypes, it looks like it was just cut out of steel and he put a grill on it and there it is, Man,
it sounds... I've put it up against every mic when people have rented mics or brought mics for sessions, and it holds its own and incredible.
Speaking of that, this is another tube mic by the same company.
Oh, yes. This is their new...
Royer designed it, but it's from Mojave.
Yeah, it's the MA37, which is their take on the Sony mic, and it's one of the greatest mics there is to get nowadays.
Now, I've used one of these for about a year and a half, and it's really cool because in the back of it, you can adjust the cardioid to Omni, but it's mechanical. You put a screwdriver in the back of that. And I mean, I know it's going to sound amazing. I can't wait to hear it on everything,
Yeah, we Dusty brought one out, and we used it on acoustic and vocals both, and they sounded so great. And now I'm really want to hear what it sounds like as a drum room mic and try it on a few other instruments just to see what's going on with it.
Cool. And then, this mic is not a copy, but is made in the spirit of a Sony C37. So its shape, its look, looks like a Sony. But one thing that's different, there's all these little holes around here with a tube inside. And once again, I think it's just super smart. Keeps you from your mic. It makes your mic going to last a long time, basically.
And those guys are genius, They really are. Dave Royer and Dusty Wakeman.
Yep.
They're the nicest.
You jam with Dusty.
Oh, yeah. We've recorded a lot together. Plus, he was always one of my favorite bass players in L.A. when I lived there.
Oh, nice.
One of the best. I've really been liking... The guys at UA were kind enough to send me the Sphere, which is a modeling microphone, and it does all the ones I can't afford these days. Okay. So it does all the old Neumanns. It actually does the Sony, some Telefunkens, and it does Shure 57s and 58s, does the Royer 121. It's, I don't have those here to put them side by side, so I haven't done the side by side.
But it's creative. You can use it musically.
Yeah, and especially for people like me or like kids that only have enough money to buy one or two, they're really affordable. And once you have the mic, they also come with the outboard gear and compressors that you would really want. They're modeling stuff like a Neve console or an API, and you can pair it. And the other cool thing about these is you can change it after the fact. So say you're
not committed to it. You can go, I want to use a 67 instead of a 47.
Yeah, if you're using a 40, and it also does proximity changes. So maybe if someone was way on it and you're like, you can
change it. So
for the price and the sound, incredible. We've
that is
really been loving that. Yeah, it's been really cool. It's great to see the future of things too, like to see from this is the future of the past.
Yeah.
This is the future of the future.
Yeah. I mean, for most people that now record on computer systems in their house, you've acquired something like even all these mics. This is years and years of accumulation. So now you can go to Guitar Center or go on to Sweetwater and buy that microphone, and it kind of fulfills a locker of mics. But I will say, I do believe that if you do go this route and you get these individually interesting microphones, they're kind of like fingerprints and personalities that you can change. Like you would be the king of guitar amps of just changing the mic.
Absolutely.
Adds so much depth to it.
It was a lot more fun for me because I'm older, so things weren't quite as expensive as they were before.
Yep.
Another one of my favorite overheads are the Mojave Audio. These are the MA100s.
Yep, I had a 100.
I love what these do for cymbals. If you have someone that's really cymbal heavy, I love the way that it reins them in and gives you the...
It's a tube mic with a power supply.
Yeah, the power supply is over there, and it sounds great. So these are another, if you're looking for great overheads.
Well, you know what? They discontinued them a few years ago because I bought the last batch from Dusty before they stopped them. But they said he's going to maybe make a few more. So stay tuned. The MA100s were the greatest mics, but what happened was I just don't think people had yet figured out that small pencil condensers that are tube are just so useful. Real quick question. You mentioned you did have a P48 here. Is that
I do. This is an old web core that I got I got this for 50 cents at the swap meet. It's a web core, which is strange because I bought a web core tape machine that we use for a bass rig.
You plug this into an amp, right?
Yeah, I found the microphone that goes with it years later.
This is so cool.
That's kind of a funny thing. Here it is.
Now, the P48, for someone that wouldn't know, it's I believe one of the greatest mics that Sony made that's not a tube mic.
Yeah.
And it's it's the wonderful utility for anything just crazy cool. And tell us a story about this one. How did this come into your world?
Well, for a while, we rented a 24-track 2-inch tape machine until we figured out it's way too dusty and there's no one that replaces or works on them. So this was probably in 1997 or 8. And it was just really hard to have, we had a smaller tape machine that we were working with. And the 2-inch was just a lot. So the guy that was renting it to us sold us a bunch of gear. And this is one of the things we got from him, the Sony mic. And I just had your friend Cole from Nashville work on this. I don't know what happened, but somehow there was a short in it. And
this is the one that's difficult to work on, right?
Yeah, yeah. So that one's one of my favorites, especially for a vocal mic.
What is this guy going to?
This one, it's just, that was just a box that I got because I like we're near a military base, but this is another amazing mic that we use. And it's a Sanken microphone, bought from the same guy.
Oh, yeah.
That's the front. He painted it pink.
Right.
I forgot the model on that, but that thing on acoustic instruments, especially like an upright bass, incredible.
Dude, there's 2 capsules in there.
It's an amazing. Another friend sold me this. Is the Beyer MC83 4N.
Never heard of it, but I'm excited to see this. Oh yeah, that's a miniature version of their large. I think it's a 740. Beautiful mic.
Yeah, this thing is great. A friend of mine he used to work at in LA at one of the coolest studios that I always forget the name of, but he highly recommended this, and this thing is so beautiful and it sounds so good. Another great vocal or acoustic instrument microphone.
I mean, biodynamics, I will say there's probably not a from the ribbons to their 380s to their 201s, they're all just high quality German mics.
Amazing.
And affordable. They're all affordable.
Let's see. This was another, I got this for 50 cents at the swap meet. It's a tiny PZM. It's plastic.
Uh-huh. Oh my God. That thing is so cool.
It weighs,
you got a little, put a little
weighs
battery
nothing,
in it.
Right? So this one's got this one I definitely have not used a lot.
Mm-hmm. Still to die for. This is like
back when the swap meet was amazing here.
Locally, Rob Schnapp, the local producer, I love Rob. I think Beck sang into a PZM for Loser.
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah, it was a Radio Shack PZM, but the same technology.
A guy, Rick Wilkinson, he's really good friends with Dave Royer. Mm-hmm. He does classes with autistic kids where he teaches them how to make ribbon mics.
Oh,
so he gave me this. It's Shut Up and Give Me the Mic by Dee Snider.
Uh-huh.
And it opens up.
That is beautiful.
So this is what a kid would make if they took the class. This is the microphone.
Look at that.
So you would go to the class and then you would make this and you would take it with you. But he also designed this hot holder, which is really cool for soldering.
Oh, beautiful.
It doesn't move.
Let me see this. This is a little card in there.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy, Rick Wilkinson.
I love this.
We're going to try to do a class. We were trying to do a class for kids up here, but this is right at the beginning of COVID, so we never had a chance to do it. But he and I and Dave are going to do a class up here for kids.
I think that's amazing. I mean, why not? I mean, I think we need to pass on. That's why we're doing this technically, is just to share things that you may pass up in a store because it's not a major brand name, but like you can still make amazing records with this. I mean, this is all color.
Yeah. These were pretty cool for a while. The blue 8 balls. And, Hutch used these a lot live with Queens of the Stone Age for a while.
What do you use them on?
He would I think this was like a bass one. I think at one point he was using the blue ones for snares.
Really?
Occasionally, not the red ones, I think, were the bass. Actually.
Hutch is one of the best sound persons you can say. Sound engineers
Absolutely.
in LA. I mean, you can't get any better than that cat.
I might have to get you to repair. This works, but it goes out occasionally if we hit it too hard. But my good friend Bingo gave me that.
The ribbon is completely flat. They're supposed to have a little bit more of a wave in it.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, but these are still beautiful mics.
Most of the others are on things. I've got a couple more great prototype mics. My friend Dave Raphael, who makes incredible gear under the name Attack. This is his prototype that he's letting me use for his, let's see.
And once again on the company name?
AWTAC, AWTAC, stands for Awesome Transistor Company. But I just got this the other day and it's blowing me away on bass and vocals. Incredible.
Wow.
The clarity. Anything he makes, he uses the best components that you can have.
Now, here's a cool thing. On that bass cab, there is that's a ribbon mic by Shure. And I love that you're doing that. That looks so cool how you're using that.
Oh, it sounds so good too. Those mics are incredible as well. They really sound amazing on guitar. I mean, especially on guitars as well. But we found that, especially with this orange rig, it enhances the sound.
And I want to give a shout out to Jamie at Earthquaker.
Jamie Stillman. This is the pedal board that he put together when he was here, and I haven't taken it apart because it sounds so
good. Why mess with it?
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
the godfather of that.
He's the best. Those guys are great there.
And even though there's a wild collection of microphones, we're going to come back in for definitely a walkthrough of some of these. So are there any microphones in this room?
I have a prototype of, this was, I think it's the original MA2 is what it was called. I don't know if it's it says, so he did this in 2001, Dave and Dusty, but I think it might.
That's a Mojave?
Yeah, it was called the MA2. I don't know if it made it to something else, but I've had that one. It says 2001, so maybe that's when I got it.
Wow.
And
we got a 57 back here.
Always a 57. There's another, and now Royer's making these. I don't know if it's Royer or Mojave. I think it's Mojave that's making the double clip for for the 121 and the 57.
Yeah.
So that's what I have on the Supro right now. And that was a genius move because everybody was doing that.
Yeah.
And they just made it where it's super easy. So that's
you don't have to worry about the alignment. They're just good to go.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Now, and also I will have to say, like, I know this is a bedroom, but technically if you had a room and you had amps in, this bed in here is the greatest thing to absorb the sonic mayhem. So I know you can't see it, but I've got amps all below me. There's amps here. Here's a Twin 12, which is one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to come back for the amp room finale, but let's go check out the mics that you have on the drum room. There's some really interesting ones in there as well. Well, here we are. I'm looking at the kick drum. Now, I'm very familiar because I do have NS10. So this is an NS10 speaker. And please explain to people if they don't know why you have a speaker on the front of your drums.
Brings out all the subs. And actually, Hutch built that for us here with an NS10 that we had as a monitor. But we don't use NS10s a whole lot anymore.
Okay.
They tend to blow, and you're just always replacing them.
Yeah.
But he built that for us with the whole stand.
Yeah.
And then in here is inside is a D12, which Hutch traded for.
The old ones, right?
Yeah, one of the old
Ringo
ones.
Starr one.
Yeah. We could bring it out if you want, or trust me, it's old and it's in there. But Hutch makes jewelry, and he was in Germany. And a kid came up and said, "I really want one of your rings, but I don't have money. Would you trade it for a D12?"
Oh my God! So that still costs a lot of money. Those are up to $1,000 sometimes.
Maybe so, yeah.
And if you ever wanted, even though you see a speaker here, I had a buddy of mine that went to like a thrift store and he bought like 5 or 6 speakers. He just took them all out until he had one of these and he was able to compare them. So you can definitely go out and buy a $5 speaker. And all it is you hook up a guitar cable and it runs to a DI.
Yeah.
And then that is basically, and if people don't know, most headphones or microphones, like the Beatles would have their headphones and they put them on Paul McCartney's bass rig. You run that to a mic pre and it's basically a subwoofer bass amp. So being creative, I love this. I don't have one. I used to have one for years, but this is something I use for bass guitar as well.
Yeah.
I love it. I just love the NS10.
And I think you can use any speaker, but NS10 seems to be the one that everybody wants to use.
It's the fancy version, but don't be too hard set on that. I think if you go get any kind of old speaker, take it out, have fun with it. It's probably going to sound cool.
I have another Royer prototype, which was for Mojave Audio. It's the 603. And I don't think they make a 603, but this was, I got this at the same time as the one that's on the amplifier as well. And this one sounds great on guitars, like acoustic guitars, or, it's got its own power supply and sounds great. Right now it's on a hi-hat because they wanted a real crispy hi-hat on the last session. Another mic that we got from the guy that rented us the 2-inch was this PZM. It's a stereo PZM mic.
That whole thing is the PZM.
It had really cool foam that just right there, but over the years it disintegrated.
And that's hiding the elements, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I guess, it had foam in there and it just kind of, over the years, just kept falling out. So finally we just shoved some new foam in. And for overheads right now, we're using Mojave Audio MA300s, which I love.
Everybody that I know, I've never used these, but I'm going to say Paul Fig and the guys over at Dave's Room, they were talking about, even Paul He may have done if you want to look at Paul Fig, I think he did a session where he only used the Mojaves on some drums, and he just told me that was just probably the 300 maybe, and we're talking about the M837, but the 300 maybe he said was at the time the best mic he ever used.
Yeah,
for that.
they're amazing. They go for more of a good tom sound for overheads, whereas the others are more cymbal, like these. They were doing a lot of tribal stuff on the last.
So you can almost see this is kind of not over the cymbal, but it's over like the tom.
Yeah, they're definitely more. I mean, you get plenty of, and we honestly we had this mic'd with something else.
Okay.
In the center, we have the Rupert Neve designed SE tube mic, which we're well over mic'd on everything. But I was telling you, I get a lot of people that are only here for a few days, so we just give them.
Cover them.
You just roll. It's Pro Tools. you just let them decide. On the toms, I have Audix D4s, and I started using those a few years ago. I had Bill Sismic here recording Joe Walsh. He wanted to bring some of his favorite mics in, and he brought these, and he brought SE overheads, which I have. Yeah. And I was blown away by how great they sounded, because usually we have 421s or
condensers.
And they, which sound amazing, but there's something about these. They're so affordable, and they're
rugged. You can smack them, and they're gonna be fine.
And they sound incredible. I mean, they're up on my gear now. But anyone could afford these. And like you said, they're durable. And
yeah, I mean, one thing that's really cool, like if you've tuned in and you see this whole drum setup with all the mics wasn't like, we didn't say we're coming in and then he set them up. This is like working class studio all the time. You come in, you turn on the computer, he's set up. So all these mics that Dave has mentioned, they're really tried and true. And I think that was one of the coolest things about the mic locker, because I wanted to see, even though I've never been out here, I wanted to see what are the things that you guys do. And even the SC tube mic, tell us a little about, you were mentioning there's a story about that particular mic. You can't move it, or what is this?
Well, you can move it, but it's the only placement that we have marked.
Check it out, Eric. It's right there, that big one on the floor.
SE Gemini tube mic that I've had forever, and I did have to replace the tube, and my friend gave me a very cool 1950s Philips tube replacement. So that thing sounds incredible. Even better. Now. But for some reason, right there, if you just need one or two mics, that thing has all the punch that you're looking for. Mm-hmm. But my neighbors and myself, we're all musicians and we love to record, and so this is our setup for us. And then when like I said, when people come in that have only a couple of days, you just let it roll, and they can take it home and mix, or we can do it, and they can tell us what they really want to hear. If they want everything, if they want just a couple of overheads, and if you want to search some records that are really kind of, I think would speak for the studio, you can look at the Desert Sessions, which have a lot of stuff. Which records with Caius were done here? What's that in that world of Caius and Queens of the Stone Age? What stuff was recorded here, so maybe people can hear what this place sounds like? Caius, we did some stuff for Man's Ruin. So they did a Black Sabbath cover and a few songs. And then they did their last recordings here, which would be Fatso Forgot So and a couple other songs from that era. And the drums sound incredible. And we really didn't have many mics at that point. The 414 and couple of Shores, and I think we used a D112 at that point, because that's what minimal, we had. But
like the band, like, and that's another thing too. Sometimes you have great microphones, but until you put someone that's really has some talent in front of the mic, then it really pays off. Like, what is a mic that John Lennon sang of worth? Well, put John Lennon in front, and you have magic. So you also have an Arctic Monkeys here. They did a recording here.
They did a lot of recording here. They wrote a lot of. The AM album. They recorded a lot of Humbug here. Okay. And they did some incredible trippy stuff when they recorded here. They used Alan Johannes was one of the engineers, and he brought in his Vistalite Ludwig kit, like a big kit. And they did weird things where they would put like wood over the toms with the mic on the flip side. I don't know. They were doing some really interesting stuff to just trip it out. And I remember we opened the window behind us. It's a little too hot right now.
Yeah.
But they put this mic about 6 feet outside the window. That was part
it's like
of
a gunshot coming right out the window.
So I don't know how much of that's in the mix, but yeah, they had
I love that.
a whole different vibe on what they were doing.
I mean,
I
why
had
not?
war paint in, and they used they used Stella's kit, and they also brought in lots of things to really deaden the sound. And you know, most of the people that come here really want the rock.
Yeah.
You know, because they like whatever rock has been recorded here. So that's why we have this now. Is like
it fulfills the rock drums if you need them, but it can be tamed down a little bit. I see you have some rings on it, so it's just a matter of. But also, if this is and it's a Gretsch, and the snare looks like a Ludwig. Yeah,
this is. I forgot what that is. This is Superphonic.
Yeah, I have a 67 Superphonic.
Yeah, I think this is 64. The kit's mid 70s. We got that from a friend of ours who used to be a park ranger for the Joshua Tree National Park. He unfortunately passed away, but we have been using his drums forever.
Well, his drums lived on, you know.
And the guys from Roots EQ, they make these, which. You know, when you want to just deaden it a little bit instead of putting tons of tape or whatever on it, you know, like we kind of, like I said, they were going for tribal. So they did want it a little boomy, but not, you know, too ringy.
Well, anyways, that wraps up Manny's mic locker out here with Dave. Dave was kind enough to not only show us the mics he used, how he used some of them, really cool mics that you can go out and find. And most of these are still available in the world. They're vintage, but maybe in the sense of being older, so you can find them. But Dave, thank you for the tour.
Thank you, Manny.
A true badass. Thank you.
You are. Thank you.
All right, guys, there it is.